Hi everybody, my name is Sofia Robirosa and I'm a relationship counselor here in Plantation, Florida. As social isolating times continue, right? We have many more weeks to come of more of this. I want to make sure that I continue to provide as many tips and ideas so that we can be aware of things and come out stronger from this, so we can protect our relationship and feel that, we made it together and, hopefully stronger at the end of all of this. So I have been talking a little bit about why it may be difficult as a couple to go through this. We have many more stressors to deal with, financially, just the whole fact of maybe becoming sick, worries about our loved ones getting sick, parents, grandparents, the population that may be more affected by this. Adding virtual school if you have kids to the mix, right? Just the fact that maybe it's just uncomfortable to be at home so much. So a lot of stressors just added on there, a lot of newness. And when there's a lot of newness, it's just a recipe for stress for most people. Then, we're 24/7 together. And that's a lot. We're never all this time together, working from home and with the kids all the time. It's very different from our regular life. And we may be seeing a lot of different aspects from one another that we haven't seen before, right? Like maybe you've never seen how your significant other acts around his co-workers or their habits while they're working, as well as, for example, with our children, right? Like how are they in the process of learning lessons? How much can they withstand, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of new things to face. So what are some of the things to continue to do through this time? In a prior video, I talked about 3 different perspectives to keep in mind about how you may be facing this crisis differently from your significant other. Just like the ideas of how much news you want to absorb and how much you want to sanitize your house, and how, if you're more in a hands-on attitude or pessimistic space, right? So all of these different perspectives and how to deal with that. So make sure to look for that in my YouTube channel to get more specific ideas about that. But just to go back to the idea that you may have different ways of coping with this and thinking of different things that you may need to do. And there are going to be sometimes opposites. And so we should, as a couple, talk about it, make sure that it's okay to discuss these things, and make sure that you let your partner feel heard and know that there's not really right or wrong, even though you might feel that there's one wrong, but just we're all entitled to have different opinions, and to try to come down to a compromise if possible. If not possible, it would be best to consider the safest, the more cautious perspective or way of looking at the situation in order to give peace of mind to that person, right? So that that person can drop feelings of anxiety. Work on having a team attitude. So, for example, as changes continue, have conversations that sound like we are working on things, just by using that word, we. So what can we do about the virtual school situation with our children? How should we tackle that? That's one question that you may be having to discuss. What are we going to do about our finances? What are we going to do to entertain the kids? How are we going to take care of ourselves so that we don't get sick through this scary time? And so on and so forth, right? What are we going to do to entertain ourselves? How can we make sure that our relationship stays strong through this? When we approach topics of concern with that language, we're inviting our partner to be part of the conversation and value their input and work towards a solution together. Make sure that you work on managing your own worries and anxieties. Okay, So yes, we want to create a space of talking and finding support from our partners, I was mentioning, but at the same time, make sure that you're taking care of yourself, right? So what could that be like? Make sure you're sleeping, eat well, exercise is great stress reliever. Find some forms of entertainment for yourself, create a plan for your day, and also have a support system for yourself. Rely on your friends and your family members too. Remain social. So that way you can show up to the best of your ability in your relationship and your family. Make sure that there's space for time alone in your current life, right? So we're all in the same house, we're all cooped up, and we may feel like, there's no space in the house to be alone. But make sure that you talk with your significant other about creating space for individual things. Do you need to go on a walk by yourself? Do you need to work out by yourself? Do you need to go into the bedroom and have a moment to read a book by yourself, or meditate, or take a nap? What are maybe some spaces that you guys can create so that you have time alone and you can decompress from this feeling of being crowded at home on top of each other? Practicing gratitude together. Reflect on what are you grateful for despite of this whole situation, right? I've been incredibly grateful to see my children bonding. So I have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old, and as my youngest one is getting a little bit older, it's been beautiful to see how much my oldest, even though they have such a huge age difference, they play together, they have fun, and they laugh. It's something that I'm getting to see a lot more because they're at home more. Know that you may be focusing on sex differently. So talk about that, right? Some people, when they're stressed, the last thing that is on their mind is sex. And for others, this situation may feel like an opportunity to have more of it. And so, discuss it, talk about it, see how maybe you can work on it. And otherwise, also focus on the idea of a touch and affection. That can actually help also create physical closeness and a bridge to having more sex. You can do a project together, right? So find things that you wouldn't do on a regular basis, and working on something together can be a way to pass some time in a constructive way and feeling like you are getting something accomplished. And finally, for today's my last tip, you can learn something together. There's a lot of virtual things I've been seeing to learn, right? So they're even offering dance classes for couples online. So there's so many different things today that we can learn online. And I think some people are getting incredibly creative through this time in order to do that. So take advantage to do that. Otherwise, you can also find maybe not so many things that are new, but connect to activities that you maybe haven't done together at home for a while, right? Like I've been hearing a lot of couples pulling out different board games, even video games. We pulled out our old Wii and started playing with that because it's been also great to do that with our daughter. So opportunities are there for us to connect. And when we have a positive vision of what we can do, we can, work at changing how we're looking at the situation, right? So that we don't go to the negative, we stay more on the positive. If we give our current life a positive spin and a structure to follow. So maybe these could be some tips for you to consider and help you do that. If you have any questions and you would like to ask me anything at all about the situation or for your relationship, please make sure to either comment below or to send me a DM, and I'll be happy to answer it through either a video or a post, so I can help you overcome whatever struggles you're going through at home. And as I was saying earlier, come out of this situation a little bit stronger than we were before. I wish you much health and safety through this time. Again, my name is Sofia Robirosa, and I'm a relationship counselor here in Plantation, Florida. Bye.